Starting Dance Fish is about 28 years in the making, I would say. So from the time I was 13, 14 years old, I was breeding fish and selling them. It was never for a profit. It was so I could get another species that I thought was cool, or trade them into my fish store and get enough food to, feed the fish. So it was always a hobby. And I honestly purposely never wanted to make it a business because I always wanted it to be fun, and because I had seen so many fish stores open and close. I decided I didn't want to do it for business. I pursued other things. I was actually a college professor for most of my career. But what I found was throughout the years, I kept coming back to fish. I never really left them, but I would find I'd be at work thinking about fish, and I'd be doing this other thing and wanting to be back with the fish. And I just kept coming back to it. And I figured if I wasn't sick of it after 27, 28 years, I probably wasn't gonna get sick of it. Saw a business model that I thought could work a few years ago, and realized this is what I liked doing more than anything. I turned 40 and I had one of those conversations with myself of, what do you really want to be doing? And it was fish. So my 40th birthday present to myself was resigning my professorship and doing this crazy thing. There's a lot of people that would have killed for that job, and here I was giving it up voluntarily. But I wanted to do the thing that I wanted to do every day. I wanted to wake up every morning excited to go to work, and doing the thing that I loved really the most, I've found over the last several years. I decided, you know what, I can do this for a business and not get burned out. I can do it as a business and still have fun. It's not gonna ruin my hobby. This has been quite a journey. We started in our basement, then we added the garage, now we're building a warehouse. There's been a lot of challenges. It's been an interesting journey so far, and I'm sure that it'll continue to be. I mean, we've got a lot of aquariums and a lot of fish that need care. We have customers that need care. We have imports that need to be wrangled. All those normal things that we're doing, and on top of that, how do you find time to build what you need for the warehouse and manage that project and manage the expansion? I think that's going to be the big challenge. So we're finding ways to do that. It's a lot of late nights. There's a lot of just grinding. In 5-10 years, we have a vision of being somewhere very important. Our mission statement here at Dance Fish is to change the aquarium industry narrative. The current narrative I hear from people is, yeah, I used to keep fish, but they all died. What I want the narrative to be is, oh yeah, I keep fish, I love them. I get home from work, they lower my heart rate, they get me back in touch with nature, they calm me down, they're beautiful. It's a little piece of nature in my house. There's two main issues we need to tackle, I think, to make that happen. The first is education. It's helping people get the knowledge they need to be successful taking care of fish. A lot of people, I think, first look at aquariums as a piece of furniture without understanding it's really an ecosystem, and is the basic things of how to cycle a tank and get the ecosystem stable so that the fish thrive in it long term. We have the YouTube channel, we have a newsletter, we have various social media. We're trying to just let folks know how to take care of fish. We do a weekly live stream where folks can ask us live questions they might have about fish and fish keeping. So we try to be there to help. There's a couple things that I'm unhappy with in our industry that I think are really hurting the aquarium fish industry. The first one is just how we treat fish. They're collected or farmed, and they go from there to another person and another person and another person, and all these middlemen down the chain. And by the time they finally get to the end consumer, it's like they've been on a nonstop work junket for 2 weeks, going here, 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 and they're just stressed out. So customers go to the pet store or whatever, they buy the fish that just came into the pet store, and they take them home without understanding that fish is very stressed out, and its immune system is probably compromised, and then they die on the customer. And then we get that narrative of, yeah, I used to keep fish, but they all died. The main thing I think that we've done that I think is innovative is create a method for receiving fish and getting them to the customer. So the customer gets healthy fish and has a good chance of being successful. We buy directly from collectors and farmers. So we cut out as many middlemen down that chain as we can. What that means is the fish is in transit much less time. It might only be in transit for a day or two when we buy it, versus a week or two when it goes through the normal supply chain. By cutting out all those middlemen, we get the fish much quicker and they're less stressed, so they recover faster. Before any fish is sold, it goes through an extensive quarantine and observation and acclimation process, where the fish are given time to de-stress after experiencing the supply chain. And then when we do send them to the customer, we do it in a very precise manner. We've developed a method where the fish are cared for very well when they're prepared for shipping and shipped to the customer. We take great pains to properly prepare the fish for shipping and to ship them in a way that they're going to arrive to the customer healthy and happy. Our goal is to become an industry leader and do enough business that the industry has to change. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to change the industry. Who am I? Who is Dan Odnett? I don't know, just a fish nerd, really. I mean, I'm a family man. I've got a wife and two amazing kids. We were first married, we're in college, and we've got brine shrimp hatching on the bathroom counter. And we've got some aquariums, like a whole rack of aquariums in the bedroom and stuff. And she's just like, yeah, that's Dan. I'm gonna let him be him. I don't know, I'm a fish nerd. I'm not that interesting of a guy, honestly. I've been keeping fish forever. So what happened was the summer between 6th and 7th grade, my little brother got an aquarium, a little 10-gallon aquarium. And we put it up on the counter in our kitchen, and he set it up. And he got some pretty fish in there. I remember like a rosy barb, a swordtail, like a cory, probably just one poor thing, because we didn't know what we were doing. A harlequin rasabora, and that's like it. But I saw that thing and like I never watched TV again. Like I would just be watching the tank all the time. And within a couple months, I had mowed enough lawns that I got enough change together that I had like 3 tanks in my bedroom, little 10 gallons. And then a few months later, like the entire wall of my bedroom was like a 3-level rack of aquarium tanks. So it was basically my little brother got a tank and I fell in love with it and went nuts with it. So I've always been a kid that was fascinated with nature. So growing up, I would spend a lot more time outside than inside. I'd just be out in the yard. We had 7 acres growing up. So there were woods in the back, there was a pond. I spent my youth like catching grasshoppers and feeding them to chickens, or out in the woods looking for cool bugs, or collecting ants and putting them in mason jars to watch them dig tunnels. So nature's always been something I've been really drawn to. I don't know what it is about fish, but they're the one that stayed. All the others kind of came and went. I think there's something about the ease of maintenance. With fish, you just have to change the water once every couple weeks or so, and you're good to go. And so there's something about the ease of maintenance that made it a lot more sustainable. And then there's just something about how they move and how they look. So many different color varieties and body shapes and reproductive strategies and things that have developed that, I don't know, you never get bored. There's just always something new. We started in our basement, and then we moved up into the garage, and we've basically for 2 years been running Dan's Fish full time, collecting data, making sure the business model works, making sure we know how to get healthy fish to customers, making sure that we can actually do this, right, full time and make a living and survive, basically. And the numbers are good. It looks like it's going to work. We're out here at this creek because this is the location of our new warehouse that we're going to build. And this creek is important to that. We're building this warehouse, and it's going to be a flow-through system where water is removed from this creek. It's cleaned up. it's put through the aquariums, then it's cleaned up again and returned to this creek. So basically what we're doing is taking dirty water from the creek, and in the end, we're returning much cleaner water to the creek. And in the meantime, we're running it through a bunch of aquariums in this warehouse. This allows us to expand and carry 5 times the current number of species that we're able to handle at the moment in our limited facilities. So that's why we're here. This is the location of the new warehouse. This lower location is where the well will be that we draw the water from, because we don't want to draw it directly from the creek. So we're gonna dig a little surface well next to the creek and use that. And then there's a little incline up there. The land rises just a bit, and that's where the warehouse will be. So we'll pump it from here up to there and back. This is the basic idea for the warehouse. We're building it in 2 phases. This time we're building this first phase here. And then in a couple years, we hope to add this second phase here. So right now, all the aquariums down in the basement will fit along this wall. And all the aquariums in the garage will fit in this row and half of this row. The rest of this will all be new aquariums. So it's a pretty major expansion. The idea is we're building on this property. This is the plat. So this is what we were just looking at when we were outside at the property site. The warehouse is going to be built here, and then down here in this area, that's where the creek is, and where we'll draw the water to the warehouse. And then here is the kind of overhead view of the warehouse with a side view here and some different views of the building itself. So the basic idea is that we'll draw water in from the creek, we'll filter it up, run it through the tanks, clean the water again, and send it back to the creek. So we're going to be filtering the water from the creek, and when the water runs through the warehouse and back to the creek, it's going to be a lot cleaner than when it was taken out of the creek. So we're benefiting the local environment, which is important to me. And at the same time, we're providing constant fresh water for the fish in our system. So that's the basic plan for the warehouse and what we're going to build out on that site. So there's a basic turn that happened. We were originally going to build this warehouse out of town, like about 20 minutes, half an hour out of town. Think of it like on a ranch with a river, basically, where you could build basically a pole barn and put tanks in it and do your thing. But then an opportunity came to do it in the city limits itself. And that's good because it's super close to the UPS and FedEx hub. It means that as we hire employees, they aren't going to have such a long commute and everything. But there's 2 main challenges I think that I've encountered with that. The first is the water, the creek in town is not as clean. There's a lot more sediment in it than the original location, which is right up at the base of the mountain. First challenge was how to manage that. What kind of filtration do we need to do to clean up all that sediment and things? And that was easy. Not easy, but that's just an engineering problem. Like there's equipment to do that. There's ways to do that. The second thing is that when you build in town, there's a lot more requirements. There's a lot more engineering requirements. There's a lot more permitting requirements. And there's a lot more bureaucracy that you have to go through. So just learning how to manage things, working with the contractor and the engineers and City Hall to get things moving and done and get through all the bureaucracy you have to get through is something I wasn't planning on when I first envisioned this project, because we were going to be building outside of the city limits. So that's been something to navigate. I guess the other major challenge is funding. This is a very expensive project. When I originally priced this out, it was the summer before COVID came, and we didn't know about COVID, right? It wasn't a thing yet. It didn't exist yet. Then COVID hit. Lumber prices are crazy. Like a sheet of OSB used to cost me right around $10. I went to Home Depot last week and it was over $50. PVC's gone up, steel's gone up, like just everything is shot up due to COVID. And so that's been a challenge. How do you navigate that? How do you structure you're financing in such a way that those increased costs still work for your business model. So we had to make some adjustments personally and as a family to make this happen too. We knew that for the first few years, we would earn very little. We call it ramen wages. So one thing we had to figure out, my wife and I, is, okay, I'm going to quit a cushy job with great benefits and move into something really risky that is not going to pay off for quite a while. We knew that we needed to take a couple years to establish the business model, to learn about how to best run a business so that the fish are taken care of, the customers are taken care of, and the books are taken care of. We cashed out our savings. We did all those things that you do when you're an entrepreneur starting a new business. I don't care how poor I am if I get to do this every day, honestly. Because if I was rich, this is what I would be doing every day. So to me, it hasn't felt like a big sacrifice. For my wife and my kids and stuff, you have to judge, is it the right thing to do? Luckily, I have a very supportive family. My wife understands the vision, she supports it. There's been definitely financial finagling. We've just had to live very frugally for the last couple of years. And we'll continue to for the next couple of years as we get into the warehouse and scale up. It's not just me. Everyone coming on board is going to have to understand that there's a future payout. But for the first year or two, it's going to be all about growing the business, not about taking money out of the business. So the big challenge for the next 6 months or so is, how do you manage the business and keep it going while also managing a big expansion project? Our goal is to grow large enough that others in the industry have to do that too, otherwise they'll go out of business. That's our goal. So we're trying to do this responsibly and humanely and in a way that makes customers successful, and at a scale that's big enough that the whole industry has to kind of catch up to modern times. So that's a big mission. That's what drives us. In order to do that, there's a ton of work. We've got to build a big warehouse. We've got to move our facilities over there. We have to hire the staff that we need. We're looking for people to care for the fish, maintain the fish, make sure that they're shipped properly, all that stuff. But these are major challenges that we have to do, this whole move. And while we're doing all that, we still have to take care of all the animals we have. We still have to keep inventory in stock for our customers, care for our customers. So it's quite a challenge, but we are excited about it. We're thrilled about it. I'm sure that we'll hit hurdles on the way. I don't know what they all are, but we're up for the challenge.
I don't know if my chair is squeaky enough. Maybe I need to get more squeak on it.